Since its creation in 1986, American Girl has released many characters with in-depth stories throughout different periods of history. It is a fairly common theory that all of the characters ever created by American Girl exist within one universe and timeline, which I will from now on refer to as the American Girl Shared Universe, or the AGSU. If you already know the basic information about American Girl characters, you can skip to the timestamp on the screen. The characters universally included in the AGSU are the historical characters. These characters, in chronological order of the universe, include Kaya Eton Mai from 1764, a Native American girl living in the Pacific Northwest; Felicity Merriman from 1774, who lives in Colonial Williamsburg. Felicity has a best friend doll, Elizabeth Cole; Caroline Abbott from 1812, who lives in Sackett's Harbor, New York during the War of 1812; Josefina Montoya from 1824, who lives near Santa Fe, New Mexico, while it is still a part of Mexico; Cecile Ray and Marie Grace Gardner from 1853, who live in New Orleans during the 1853 yellow fever epidemic; Kirsten Larson from 1854, a pioneer who immigrates from Sweden; Addie Walker from 1864, who escaped slavery, and her story centers around what her life is like afterwards during the Civil War; Samantha Parkington from 1904, who lives in New York during the early Progressive era. Samantha has a best friend doll, Nellie O'Malley, who works in a factory before child labor laws and later as a servant for Samantha's Grandmary; Rebecca Rubin from 1914, who lives in New York and represents the second wave of European immigration; Claudie Wells from 1922 lives in New York during the Harlem Renaissance. At this point in writing the script, I realized the sheer amount of dolls who live in New York. Kit Kitteridge from 1934 lives in Cincinnati, Ohio during the Great Depression. Nao Mitchell from 1941, who lives in Honolulu, Hawaii during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Molly McIntyre from 1944, who lives in Jefferson, Illinois and represents late World War II and the early post-World War II era. Molly also has a best friend doll, Emily, who is from London and comes to live with Molly's family during the Blitz. Maryellen Larkin from 1954 lives in Daytona Beach, Florida and represents the Cold War and the space race. Melody Ellison from 1964 lives in Detroit, Michigan, and represents the Civil Rights era. Julie Albright from 1974 lives in San Francisco and represents feminism and the many changes in American society during this era. Courtney Moore from 1986 lives in Orange Valley, California, and her story discusses the technological advances of this era and the AIDS epidemic. And lastly, Nikki and Isabel Hoffman from 1999, who live in Seattle, Washington during the turn of the new millennium. Depending on how you look at this universe, Girl of the Year and other contemporary dolls may be included. Girl of the Year, contemporary, and world bias characters in chronological order include Lindsay Bergman from Chicago, Illinois in 2001, whose story is generally her trying to help people; Kaylee Hopkins from California in 2003, who likes surfing and environmental activism; Marisol Luna, an aspiring dancer from Chicago, Illinois in 2005; Jess McConnell from 2006, who travels to Belize with her archaeologist parents; Nikki Fleming from Denver, Colorado in 2007, who trains a service dog and lives on a hog farm, which I actually didn't know that last part until I was making this video; Mia St. Clair, a figure skater from New York in 2008; Krissa Maxwell from Edgewater, Minnesota in 2009, whose story is about overcoming bullying. Krissa had two best friend dolls, Gwen, a homeless girl who is also being bullied, and Sonali, who is originally friends with the bullies and then later becomes friends with Krissa. Lainey Holland from Cambridge, Massachusetts 2010, who enjoys nature and science. She's also the only American Girl doll with a canon email address. Kanani Akina from Kauai, Hawaii in 2011, who likes photography and is passionate about protecting wildlife. McKenna Brooks, a gymnast from Seattle, Washington in 2012. Sage Copeland is an artist and horse girl from Albuquerque, New Mexico in 2013. Isabel Palmer, a dancer from Washington, D.C. in 2014. Grace Thomas, a baker in 2015, who travels to Paris. Leah Clark from St. Louis, Missouri in 2016, who likes photography and travels to Brazil. Gabriella McBride, a dancer and poet from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 2017. Tinny Grant is a contemporary character and is an aspiring musician in Nashville, Tennessee in 2017, and Tinny has a best friend doll, Logan Everett. Z Yang is another contemporary character and is a YouTuber and aspiring filmmaker in Seattle, Washington in 2017. Luciana Vega from either Virginia or Alabama based on the wiki, because I haven't actually read her books yet, in 2018 aspires to be the first person to go to Mars. Blair Wilson from Bluefield, New York in 2019, which doesn't actually exist, who lives on a farm, helps plan a wedding, and is lactose intolerant. Joss Kendrick, a surfer and cheerleader from Huntington Beach, California in 2020. Kira Bailey from Michigan in 2021 travels to Australia and helps with her family's wildlife sanctuary. Yvette Peters is one of the 3 characters in the World by S line, who are all from Washington, D.C. in 2021. She is interested in environmentalism and experiences being asked offensive questions due to being biracial. Maritza Ochoa is also from the World by S line. She plays soccer and wants to help immigrant families stay together. McKenna Williams is also from the World by S line and wants to be a fashion designer. Corinne Tan from Aspen, Colorado in 2022 likes skiing and deals with anti-Asian racism during the COVID-19 pandemic. Corinne has a Welly Wisher-sized doll of her sister named Gwen. Kavi Sharma is from Metuchen, New Jersey in 2013 and likes theater and dance. And lastly, Lila Minetti is a gymnast from St. Paul, Minnesota in 2024. The AGSU can be viewed in 2 different ways, as one large universe that includes both the historical and contemporary characters, or as 2 separate universes for the 2 separate sets of characters. For the purposes of this video, I am considering it as one universe. The probably most well-known theory within the AGSU is the Marie Grace is Grandmary theory. The first mention of this that I found was a post from Desert Doll Ranch on Tumblr from February of 2018, and a lot of the information supporting this theory originates from that post. And I will be linking this and some other resources that I used throughout this video in a Google Doc in the description. Marie Grace Gardner herself was a doll who, along with Cecile Ray, represented the 1853 yellow fever epidemic in New Orleans. Her middle name, Rousseau, was her mother's maiden name. This is important later, I promise. Marie Grace was born in New Orleans, where her story takes place, however lived on the East Coast for much of her early childhood due to her father's job as a doctor, and later moves back to New Orleans before the events of her books. Samantha's story takes place in 1904. Early in her series, she lives with Grandmary, her maternal grandmother, whose full name is Mary Edwards. It is plausible that Marie Grace could have moved back to the East Coast as an adult, and after relocating, used the anglicized form of her name, Mary. Marie Grace was born in 1843, which would make her 61 in 1904, and roughly the right age to be Grandmary. It is shown in Samantha's stories that within her family, using family names is fairly common, with Samantha's middle name being Mary, her naming her doll Lydia after her mother, and Gard and Cornelia naming their son William after his father. It would not be that much of a reach to assume Marie Grace / Grandmary named her son Gardner after her maiden name. This is a lesser-known theory, and I think I've only seen it a few times. The theory that Maryellen is Courtney's mom comes from the observation that the 2 dolls look very similar. They are both classic molds with similar hair colors and side bangs. The dolls are also an appropriate amount of age apart for this to work, with Maryellen being born in 1945 and Courtney being born in 1976. However, this theory could be debunked by the fact that Courtney's mom is named Maureen. The argument could be made that those are similar enough names to be a nickname, hence this still being in this video, but it is unlikely they are the same person. I came across a couple of other theories in a Tumblr post about the various dolls being related to each other theories. One of these was Julie is Kaylee's mom. This theory is based on the observation that both dolls have blonde hair and brown eyes and live in California. There really isn't much to support this theory, and I was only able to find 3 places mentioning it before I started to get questionable search results. 2 of the places I found this theory also mentioned some other theories that didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I'm not considering that a part of the AGSU. Another theory I ran across was Nanea being Kanani's grandmother. The main support for this is that Nanea enjoyed working in her grandfather's general store and plausibly could have opened her own general store, which later became the Shavites and Sweet Shop. Unlike the rest of this list, this is not a theory and is actually confirmed canon. In October 2023, the Girl of the Year 2024 Lila Minetti was released. Lila is a gymnast, and it was revealed in her journal that Girl of the Year 2012 McKenna Brooks, who is also a gymnast, is her coach. This was speculated on some before her release, but I don't think very many people thought AG would actually do it. This confirmed that the Girl of the Year line takes place within the same universe. This is also kind of canon, but also not. In 2022, it was rumored that Girl of the Year 2021 Kira Bailey will become part of the World by S line, a contemporary line released in 2021 designed to discuss current events, activism, and more difficult topics than its Girl of the Year counterpart. The line was released with 3 dolls, and it was rumored that more would be added later. While Kira was never officially added to the line, she was given an additional outfit after her year was over, something no other Girl of the Year before or after has gotten. Both Kira and the World by S line were retired since then, but this confirms that both the Girl of the Year line and the World by S line take place within the same universe. The one main roadblock with the AGSU theory is the presence of American Girl as a brand in the stories of both Courtney from 1986 and Isabel and Nikki Hoffman from 1999. In Courtney's collection, there is a mini doll of Pleasant Company version of Molly McIntyre. In the twins collection, there are many American Girl branded items, including a teddy bear that was originally part of an American Girl of Today set, a mini version of the American Girl sleepover book, and American Girl of Today shirts. Although this implies that these three dolls are not set in the same universe as the other American Girl dolls. The existence of recreations of two American Girl of Today outfits in Isabel's and Nikki's collection kind of implies the opposite. Because of the dolls owning these outfits, which were made for dolls, it can be assumed that they are also dolls. However, these two outfits also had Dress Like Your Doll versions, so it is plausible they could have bought these from American Girl. However, one piece of evidence to support that all of the historicals exist within the same universe is a video posted to the American Girl Instagram showing Maryellen attaching a note to a toy rocket and Courtney finding that same note and rocket years later. I'm sure there are a lot more smaller theories connecting the American Girl dolls out there, but this is just a summary of all of the information I could find. If you have anything to add or discuss, please feel free to put that in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!